What if the very things you resist most in life, pain, loss, disappointment, are not enemies to fight, but invitations to grow? What if fate was not a curse, but a gift? Marcus Aurelius believed exactly that, and he called us to love our fate. In the quiet hours before dawn, while Rome slept, the most powerful man in the world would sit alone with his thoughts. Emperor Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the vast Roman Empire, would take up his stylus and write not of conquest or glory, but of acceptance, of patience, of alignment with the flow of nature itself. Everything harmonizes with me which is harmonious to thee, O universe, he wrote. Nothing for me is too early or too late, which is in due time for thee. These were not merely pretty words. They were survival tools for an emperor who faced constant war, betrayal, plague, and personal loss. This radical acceptance was the cornerstone of his resilience. But Marcus didn't just accept fate, he learned to love it. And in his private journal, later known as Meditations, he left us a roadmap to doing the same. The phrase Amor Fati, the love of fate, wasn't one Marcus used directly. It would be coined later by philosophers who recognized this powerful concept at the heart of Stoic thought. But while he didn't use those exact words, the sentiment flows through nearly every page of his Meditations. What does it mean to love one's fate? It's far more than passive resignation or grim acceptance. It's an active embrace of everything life brings, good and bad, pleasant and painful, expected and surprising. It's looking at the entirety of your life circumstances and saying, without reservation, this is exactly as it should be. Marcus expressed this sentiment beautifully when he wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." It's not enough to merely tolerate what happens. The invitation is to fully embrace it. To Marcus, this wasn't some abstract philosophical concept. It was practical daily wisdom for living well. In Book 4 of his Meditations, he reminds himself, "Everything suits me that suits your designs, O my universe. Nothing is too early or too late for me that is in your own good time. All is fruit to me that your seasons bring, O nature. From you are all things, in you are all things, to you all things return." This perspective transforms how we relate to everything life brings. The difficult colleague is no longer just someone to endure, but a teacher of patience. The illness is not merely bad luck, but an opportunity to practice courage. The loss is not just painful, but a reminder of what truly matters. Truly, when we resist life's events, we create friction between reality and our desires. This friction generates suffering, but when we love, what happens? When we develop Amor Fati, that friction dissolves. We move with life rather than against it. We become, in Marcus's words, like the ripening grape that sweetly awaits its change. To understand Marcus Aurelius's relationship with fate, we need to understand how he, and the Stoics broadly, viewed the universe. For them, the cosmos wasn't random or chaotic. It was governed by a rational principle they called logos, a divine reason that ordered all things. This rational structure meant that everything happening was part of a coherent, intelligent pattern. Marcus explains, "All things are implicated with one another, and the bond is holy, and there is hardly anything unconnected with any other thing. For things have been coordinated, and they combine to form the same universe." Fate then wasn't blind or cruel. It was the unfolding of this universal reason. Marcus reminds himself, "Whatever happens to you has been waiting to happen since the beginning of time. The twining strands of fate wove both them and the event together. This perspective fundamentally changes how we view adversity. If everything is connected, if everything happens according to a rational plan, then nothing is truly random, nothing truly bad in an ultimate sense. Marcus writes, "The universe is transformation. Our life is what our thoughts make it." The Stoics didn't see this cosmic order as eliminating human freedom. Rather, they believed our highest freedom was choosing to align with this order. Marcus captured this when he wrote, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." We can't control external events, but we can control how we interpret and respond to them. This is where fate and freedom meet. Marcus didn't see himself as separate from the universe and its workings. He understood that his personal will was most fulfilled when aligned with the cosmic will. In Book 2, he reminds himself, "Remember that the ruling faculty is invincible. When self-collected, it is satisfied with itself. If it does nothing which it does not will to do, even if it resist from mere obstinacy." He understood that true agency comes not from fighting against the current of life, but from swimming skillfully within it. The events themselves may be fated, but our response to them belongs to us. As he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This isn't fatalism, which says, whatever will be with a shrug of resignation. This is Amor Fati, an active embrace of what happens, paired with the wisdom to respond virtuously. It's not, "I can't change anything," but rather, "I will change what I can, my judgments, my actions, and embrace what I cannot." For Marcus Aurelius, loving fate wasn't just a lofty philosophical ideal. It was a daily practice, a muscle strengthened through consistent exercise. His meditations reveal numerous practical approaches to cultivating this perspective. One of his core practices was morning preparation. In Book 2, he describes how he would mentally rehearse the challenges of the coming day. Begin the morning by saying to thyself, "I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial. All these things happen to them by reason of their ignorance of what is good and evil." This wasn't pessimism. It was pragmatic preparation. By anticipating difficulties, Marcus removed the element of surprise that often triggers resistance. If you expect to encounter difficult people and situations, you're less likely to be thrown off balance when you do. He complemented this morning practice with evening reflection. Though not explicitly described in the meditations, this practice, examining one's day and actions, was common among Stoics. Marcus alludes to it when he asks, "About what am I now employing my own soul? On every occasion I must ask myself this question and inquire, what have I now in this part of me which they call the ruling principle?" This daily reflection allowed him to assess whether his actions had been in harmony with nature and universal reason. Had he accepted events as they came? Had he responded virtuously? Where he fell short, he could resolve to do better the next day. Marcus also practiced seeing each event as training for virtue. In Book 7, he writes, "Look at the matter in this way, and you will see that the consequence of what has happened is in keeping with universal nature. Thus, thou wilt both see these things without disturbance and wilt not complain of them." Even death, that most feared of fates, became, in Marcus's view, not an interruption, but a natural return. Death, he writes, is such as generation is, a mystery of nature, a composition out of the same elements, and a decomposition into the same. Far from being a catastrophe, death is simply part of the pattern, as natural as the changing of seasons. Perhaps most importantly, Marcus practiced gratitude for everything that happened, recognizing that apparent misfortunes often held hidden benefits. He reminds himself, even if you're going to live 3,000 more years or 10 times that, remember, you cannot lose another life than the one you're living now. The longest and shortest lives are brought to the same state through death. These practices weren't complicated, but they were profound. Through them, Marcus cultivated the ability to embrace whatever came his way, not with resignation, but with understanding and appreciation. There's a common misconception about Stoicism that it's about grim endurance, gritting your teeth and bearing whatever happens. But Marcus Aurelius shows us something far more transformative: joyful acceptance. In Book 8, he offers a simple yet powerful metaphor. The cucumber is bitter? Then throw it out. There are brambles in the path? Then go around them. That's all you need to know. Nothing more. Don't demand to know why such things exist. Anyone who understands the world will laugh at you, just as a carpenter would if you discovered that there were sawdust in his workshop. This passage reveals something important. Acceptance doesn't mean forcing yourself to endure what's unnecessary. It means responding appropriately to what is. Some things we avoid, some we work around, some we transform, and some we simply accept. The wisdom lies in knowing which response fits each situation. But Marcus goes further than mere pragmatic acceptance. He invites us to welcome everything that happens with gratitude. Welcome with affection what is sent by fate. Don't nourish hope that you will escape it, but an entirely different hope, to behave as your nature demands in any given situation. This joyful acceptance is captured beautifully when he writes, "Everything that happens is as normal and expected as the spring rose or the summer fruit. This is true of illness, death, slander, intrigue, and all the other things that delight or trouble foolish men." He compares the person who has mastered this art to the vine that has produced grapes and seeks for nothing more after it has once produced its proper fruit. There's a serenity in this image, having done what nature designed you to do, without fretting about the outcome. For Marcus, this wasn't just about individual events, but about embracing one's entire life path. He writes, "Love the humble art you have learned, and take rest in it. Pass through the remainder of your days as one who wholeheartedly entrusts all possessions to the gods, making yourself neither a tyrant nor a slave to any person." This joyful acceptance makes us like good actors who embrace whatever role we're given. "For it is your business to play well the given part," Marcus writes, "but to choose it belongs to another." The difference between resignation and amor fati is like the difference between reluctantly going to a party you don't want to attend versus arriving with an open mind and finding unexpected joy in the evening. One approach creates suffering, the other transforms experience. Perhaps the greatest paradox of Marcus Aurelius's teachings is this: by loving fate, by embracing what must happen, we achieve true freedom. This seems counterintuitive. How can accepting that many things are beyond our control possibly make us more free? The answer lies in what Marcus understood about the nature of freedom itself. True freedom isn't about controlling external circumstances. It's about mastering our internal responses. He writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When we resist what must be, we become enslaved by our resistance. We exhaust ourselves fighting the immovable. But when we accept what is, when we learn to love our fate, we reclaim our energy and attention. We can focus on what truly matters, our own virtue and right action. In Book 10, Marcus captures this beautifully. Receive without pride. Let go without attachment. This simple instruction contains profound wisdom. By neither clinging to what we prefer, nor rejecting what we don't, we maintain our inner equilibrium, regardless of circumstances. This equilibrium is true freedom. Marcus describes it as having a mind that, in all calm and in a kindly way, passes from one thing to another, ready to be dissolved, ready to be whole again, with no sweet taste of anticipation and no fear. He elaborates on this inner fortress in Book 4. The mind which is free from passions is a citadel, for man has nothing more secure, to which he can fly for refuge, and for the future be inexpugnable. He then who has not seen this is an ignorant man, but he who has seen it and does not fly to this refuge is unhappy. This freedom manifests in surprising ways. When we love our fate, we become paradoxically invulnerable. As Marcus puts it, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The emperor who commanded legions understood that true power wasn't about controlling the world, but about governing oneself. When force of circumstance upsets your equanimity, he writes, lose no time in recovering your self-control, and do not remain out of tune longer than you can help. Habitual recurrence to the harmony will increase your mastery of it. Ultimately, this inner freedom makes us unconquerable. No matter what happens externally, our capacity to respond with virtue remains intact. The art of living, Marcus tells himself, is more like wrestling than dancing, insofar as it stands ready against the accidental and the unforeseen and is not apt to fall. In loving fate, we discover that we are not victims of circumstance, but participants in the cosmic order. And in that participation lies our greatest freedom. How might we, in our modern lives, practice this ancient wisdom of Amor Fati? Marcus Aurelius left us not just philosophy, but practical tools for daily life. Consider beginning each day as Marcus did, with a morning mantra. Whatever comes today, I will meet it gladly. This simple practice sets an intention of openness rather than resistance, as he wrote, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Complement this with gratitude journaling, especially for difficulties. Marcus would have us write, thank you for this difficulty, it is my teacher. He reminds us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. By reframing obstacles as opportunities, we transform our relationship with them. When facing adversity, practice the perspective shift Marcus describes. How does it help me to regard this as unbearable and intolerable? You will find it is not, if you do not tell yourself it is. Remind yourself that it is not the thing itself that disturbs you, but your judgment about the thing. This cognitive reframing is remarkably similar to modern therapeutic approaches. During difficult conversations or situations, silently remind yourself, this too is part of the pattern. This too belongs. As Marcus wrote, everything that happens is either endurable or not. If it's endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. If it's unendurable, then stop complaining. Your destruction will mean its end as well. Just remember, you can endure anything your mind can make endurable by treating it as in your interest to do so. Practice the discipline of seeing events as neither good nor bad, but simply as they are. In the morning when thou risest unwillingly, let this thought be present. I am rising to the work of a human being, writes Marcus. This perspective strips away the added layer of judgment that creates so much of our suffering. Remember that loving fate does not make you passive. On the contrary, it makes you unconquerable because you no longer fight against reality. As Marcus puts it, the art of living is more like wrestling than dancing because it stands ready against the accidental and the unforeseen. Most importantly, practice Marcus's cosmic perspective. When something troubles you, zoom out mentally. See it from above, as part of the vast pattern of existence. Look down from a height on the countless herds of men and their countless solemnities, the infinitely varied voyagings in storms and calms, and the occasions of things coming into existence and passing out of it. And consider, too, the life lived by others in olden time, and the life that will be lived after thee, and the life now lived among barbarous nations. From that perspective, most of our worries seem remarkably small, and within that smallness, we find a peculiar kind of freedom. In loving our fate, we become citizens of the cosmos. We align ourselves with the great pattern of existence, finding our place within it rather than struggling against it. As Marcus wrote, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." This perspective doesn't eliminate challenges or pain. Marcus himself faced tremendous hardship, from the betrayal of his closest general to the death of his children, to the ravages of plague that swept through his empire. But through it all, he maintained this fundamental stance: what happens belongs. It is part of the pattern, and I can meet it with virtue. But Marcus also warned about the great trap of distraction, the scattered mind chasing 1,000 trivialities. He observed how easily we become pulled by the strings of external events, losing our center and our purpose. Most of what we say and do is unnecessary, he reminds us. If you seek tranquility, do less. In our hyper-connected modern world, this warning is more relevant than ever. We're constantly pulled in countless directions, distracted from what truly matters. Next time, we'll explore how Marcus taught the art of focusing only on what matters, the discipline of attention that makes all other virtues possible. For now, remember his words: very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. By loving what happens, by cultivating Amor Fati, we transform not the events of our lives, but our relationship to them. And in that transformation lies true freedom.